Hi, everybody, and welcome to Module 3. It is that time again, time for your video walkthrough of what we're going to be doing in Module 3. So if you want to toggle on over to the Module tab, please do so and scroll down until you get to the Module 3 section, and we'll first take a look at that overview. So for Module 3, you're going to be doing some research on the topic that you selected in Module 2, and you'll be completing a research assignment to make sure that you can find enough credible, relevant sources to use in your project. And we'll be talking what's credible and relevant and discussing sources so you'll know where to head with that assignment. So moving on then, we are going to be toggling over to the next screen where you'll find your Module 3 top hat materials. Go ahead and work through those before you begin the work for this week so that you have a good understanding of what we're going to be covering and the details that you'll need to add in to your assignments. So if you hit that next tab, you'll see that we have some additional learning materials this week. There are some links you're going to want to click on in this section. Overview of secondary research. Remember, we started to talk a little bit about the differences between secondary and primary research. And I know if you took the English 101 course that you also went over these concepts. So this can be a refresher for you. You want to go ahead and take a look at the web versus library research database tutorial. We're going to be looking for good and credible sources. So we're going to be looking in the library for those, not just doing a Google search and looking at .com sites, for example. So depending on your past experience, that may or may not be new for you. But we're going to be working with finding and using different article types and looking through those academic databases. So if you're not familiar with how to do that, this is your place to begin to familiarize yourself with that process. And so do go ahead and watch those videos as you dive into the research. And if you have any trouble at all, you can contact myself, your writing mentor, or the librarian to help walk you through those databases. Go ahead and click next, and you'll see that we have a discussion on bias in research sources. So this is going to be key to knowing what types of research you need to engage with in the course and what kind of biases might come up, not only in the research, but also, start thinking about the biases that you might have within your own thinking. So this is a really nice discussion to go over some of those biases and start considering, what kinds of stereotypes, assumptions are being made, and, really diving deep into whether or not the research that you're looking for is done by an expert in the field. So this is your time to investigate journal articles, think about news sources, maybe how those differ from blogs and community-generated writing, and then how that all differs from what you might find in an internet search engine or the ASU library or even Google Scholar if you haven't used Google Scholar before. So for the discussion, you're going to be composing and posting a 3-paragraph discussion. You're going to talk about the example that you chose, explain where the bias might be in the article, and everything has bias. So, just look at it with that lens when you're investigating your source. So there's not going to be anybody that doesn't have any bias, right? That would be impossible for us to avoid because we all look at the world through our own personal lens, even, if we're doing good critical thinking. Good critical thinking allows us to eliminate as much bias as possible, but of course it'll still be there. So you're going to start, in step 3 there, thinking about critical thinking strategies for the future resource, what kind of online platforms you might use, how you might use the articles, etc. And of course, responding to your peers. Go ahead and take a look at the resources section too at the bottom of the instructions, just in case you need a reminder on the Canvas discussion forum, netiquette guidelines, or the discussion assignment guidelines. So if you click on over to the next button, you'll see that it says Module 3, Bias and Research Sources, Discussion Response. And so in order to complete the discussion assignment, you're going to be giving some feedback to your peers' posts in the Bias and Research Sources discussion forum using that 3CQ approach, which you're probably familiar with now, right? You give a compliment, make a connection, include a comment, and ask a question. So that's how you will be responding to your peers for that assignment. So then we'll move on over to the researching the problem. And you'll spend about 2 to 3 hours for researching and drafting for this assignment. You're going to be gaining experience here in different research methods, reading and composing in different genres and different genre conventions. So go ahead and really think about those differences. Taking a look a little further down the page, you'll see the instructions for how you're going to put this together. You're going to review the feedback you'll receive on that topic brainstorming assignment. And then in 2 to 3 sentences, you're going to define the problem, right? You don't have to go over those 2 to 3 sentences. So then you're going to talk about, how you've narrowed your focus if that's necessary. And then if you take a look at step 2, then you'll begin researching the aspects of the problem you identified. So we're going to be spending more time talking about the solution to the problem than the problem itself. So first we'll just, find a list of keywords as you proceed, find at least 3 credible sources in the library. And then there are some questions here that can help you guide that research. And then you'll see here in step 3, you'll be composing a short narrative in a paragraph format, and you'll be documenting your research. Don't forget those in-text citations. Those are really important to include, because if you just have a reference list at the bottom of your page, I won't know which references you're referring to within the document itself. So make sure that you know how to do those in text citations. And if you have any problems with that, feel free to reach out to me or your writing mentor. Step 5, you're going to create a plan for your primary research. We talked a little bit about how that differs from secondary research. You're going to be doing some observations, taking a survey, doing an interview. So you're going to begin at this stage to go ahead and plan that out. And maybe draft at least 3 questions you would ask in the situation that corresponds to the community that you've selected and the problem that you're working with. And so that pretty much wraps up what we're going to be doing then in Module 3. And I look forward once again to seeing how you dive more deeply into what you brainstormed earlier. And I look forward to seeing what kind of problems you come up with and then how we're going to bridge that gap over to the solutions section. Have a great week, everyone.